By now, we're all aware that freshly milled flour is far superior in nutrition than store-bought flour that's been sitting on the shelf for a long time. I came across a recipe for an Ezekiel-style bread. It was created by Michelle Visser of Solely Rested, and I thought I'd share my version of it in a sourdough loaf. In a half-gallon jar, I'm going to combine 975 grams of red wheat berries. Mine are locally sourced. You can also get them online or look for a local farmer. Next, I added 275 grams of spelt berries, and because I was out of millet, I did 75 grams of sorghum flour. Normally it would be 75 grams of millet that you would grind. This is already ground, but it's what I had on hand and I didn't want to stop baking. And lastly, I'm adding 95 grams of barley grain. You'll want to be sure you shake to combine this really well. For this sourdough loaf, I've decided to use 200 grams of these Ezekiel grains, so I'm going to measure that out, and then I'm going to grind this up in my Vitamix blender. Maybe one day I'll actually own a flour mill. They are a bit pricey, and for now, my Vitamix, which is about 30 years old, does just fine. Here's my freshly milled flour straight from the Vitamix container, and I'm going to get to mixing up this dough. This is my sourdough starter, Robert Bradford. I'm going to start with 126 grams. This is nice and active. I fed it the night before, and it is ready to go to work. Now I'm adding 506 grams of room temperature water, and I'm using a dough whisk to combine that starter and water. Next up is that 200 grams of Ezekiel grains that I milled, going right in there. And because I am striving for a successful loaf, I'm also adding 488 grams of a really high quality all-purpose unbleached organic flour. And then I'm using that Danish dough whisk again. This is definitely one of my favorite tools. It's much more firm than a regular whisk and does a great job of combining the flour, starter, and water. This is going to seem pretty stiff at first. Just trust the process. We're just combining until it kind of comes together. It's going to be pretty shaggy looking, but we shouldn't have any dry spots left. At this point, I will cover it and let it sit for about a half an hour so that the grains can rehydrate. After about 30 minutes, that's when I'm going to add my salt. I'm going to use 19 grams of Redmond real salt. You can use whatever salt you prefer. I wet my hands, and now I'm going to do a series of stretch and folds. It's just grabbing the edge of the dough and kind of turning it in on itself. You're combining that salt into the dough and just starting to form that gluten. Cover it again, and maybe an hour later, come back and do another series of stretch and folds. Hopefully you can see here that everything is developing. The flour is totally hydrated. It's much stretchier, not tearing so easily, and it doesn't have that shaggy appearance. I'm going to do that series of stretch and folds, cover it again, and in another hour I'm going to repeat the whole process. So here's my third stretch and fold. Again, you can see the dough is getting shinier on top. It is even more stretchy and pliable than before. It's hard to believe that in just a couple of hours, this is the same dough as what that shaggy, really stiff dough looked like at the very beginning. If you're struggling to get light and airy bread, I encourage you to try adding stretch and folds to your bread making process. So I put the lid back on, and in an hour or so, and again, these are rough times. Don't think you have to do this every hour on the hour. It could be every 45 minutes, hour and 15, doing an additional stretch and fold. And again, just really impressed by how much elasticity there is in this dough as it gets worked and the gluten develops. And I decided to do one last stretch and fold. So again, this gets put away, and an hour or so later, I'm going to do the final stretch and fold. I don't normally do a window pane test when I bake bread, but I thought I'd just show you here how nicely this has developed. This will be my final stretch and fold. The next step will be shaping this boule and getting it ready for an overnight ferment. And I did want to show kind of this close-up of the gluten strands kind of getting all uniform. You can see them. It looks like everything's kind of lined up and looking really beautiful. I did let this bulk ferment for about 2 hours, and now I need to get this shaped up, put into the Banneton, and then into the fridge for a slow ferment. There are lots of ways to shape your dough. This just happens to be the style I prefer, and it just has become second nature. So again, kind of with damp hands, and I like to use a very dry, clean surface with no additional flour. I just get that nice and tight. It almost forms like a skin on top. And then here again, you can kind of see these ridges of gluten strands. For dusting my Banneton and my dough, I use homemade rice flour. It's just rice that I ground using my Vitamix. Dust it really well so it's not going to stick to that Banneton. Put it smooth side down, and then I'm going to place this in a bag and pop it in my fridge. That will be in there for about 12 hours. In the morning, what I do is take my cast iron Dutch oven and I place that in my cold oven. Then I heat up my oven and the cast iron Dutch oven to almost 500 degrees. Once everything's preheated, I grab some parchment paper. I'm going to use this as a sling to transfer my dough into that really hot Dutch oven. I just fold it in half. This also helps the bottom of the bread from burning, but you do want to be sure that you're getting a parchment paper that can handle degrees up to 450. Here's our dough straight out of the fridge. It is ready to go. It's going to be nice and firm from being cold, and that's going to make it a whole lot easier to score and to transfer into our really hot cast iron Dutch oven. I just place that parchment paper over top and then carefully flip it over and remove the Banneton. Then I'm just using a lame. You can use a really sharp knife or a razor blade and just score your bread, and then you can use these little sides as handles to slide right into your Dutch oven. In order to create steam, I do spray just plain old water into my really hot Dutch oven right on the bread, place the lid on top, and then it's going to go into a 475-degree oven for 25 minutes. So let's go ahead and take that cover off. It's been 25 minutes, and here is what our bread looks like so far. It does still have about 20 minutes or so left to bake. I'm going to turn the heat down to 450, and it'll go back in the oven without the lid. So here is the finished loaf. You can see here it got nice and crispy and brown on top, just how we like it. If my math is right, this is about 30% whole grains that were milled freshly in my Vitamix blender of all things, and it has a beautiful rise. It is important to let it cool for at least an hour before you slice into it, just to let things finish cooking. You don't want gummy sourdough. And I am really pleased with how this turned out. It's also super, super delicious.